Okay, scholars, today's lesson is inspired by a rap lyric. You heard she gonna do what from who? That's not a reliable source. I know. Y'all know I'm cool. In case y'all don't know, that is from Motorsport. The citation is listed here. We're talking about sources today. What is a reliable source? And I want you to pay attention because by the end of this lesson, you will be able to determine if a source is reliable or if it's unreliable. Now, this is important. Why? Because our papers are only as good as our sources. All right, now let's jump in. I've got two sources listed here for you, and I want you to tell me if they are reliable sources. Source one is a Wikipedia article on Dr. Martin Luther King. Source number two is a biography on Martin Luther King. Is source one reliable? Is source two reliable? Or are sources one and two both reliable? Put your answers in the chat for me, okay? Is source one reliable? Is source two reliable? Or source one and two reliable? Those are your options. Let me see what you think. Now, I will give you the answer, but first let's figure out what questions we need to ask in order to determine the credibility or the reliability of a source. Y'all know I love my girl right here, right? She's investigating, she's finding out. This is what you got to do. You got to be like her. So the first question that we got to ask ourselves is this source written for the purposes of entertainment or to sell us something, to persuade, or to teach? If a source was written to teach, you know, it's most likely a credible source. In order to answer that question, you really need to find out who the source was written for. What's the intended audience? For example, a scholarly article is written for scholars. It's written for scientists or other experts in the field instead of the general public, right? Or if you want to cite an organization, then you would need to read their mission statement to make sure that they are about what they say that they're about. Same for if you cite, say, like a government website. It ends in .gov, cdc.gov. That's credible. The biggest number one thing I want you to take away from this lesson is that if you have a book and it was registered by the Library of Congress, then that source is credible. For example, this is a book by Stacey Abrams, Our Time Is Now. And I've circled right here for you to show you her book has been registered with the Library of Congress. So we know her source is reliable. Second question, is the source accurate? Is it evidence-based? You'll know based on the references that they cite. Here's her references. It goes on for pages, guys, right? So she has a works cited list, a bibliography. Yeah, it's also free of spelling errors. And we want to know, too, if that source is biased or unbiased. If you can find out who's funding the research, then you'll have a pretty good idea of whether or not a source is, reliable. Lastly, you need to know if the author is credible. Are they well known? Where have they worked? What jobs have they had? What schools did they go to? Lastly, if you're just not sure, go ask a librarian. They're very resourceful and they can help you. So now let's answer those questions, right? Source number one, the Wikipedia article. Is it reliable? The answer is no. Anyone at any time can edit any Wikipedia article. They do have people that are there to make sure that nobody's putting up junk, but at the same time we do not cite Wikipedia articles because anyone can edit them. Now, for Martin Luther King Jr., this biography, yes, this book is registered with the Library of Congress. He has a works cited list, and Mr. Bruns has worked at the National Archives. Okay. Now, here's two more examples. I want to see what you think. All right. Source number one, is it reliable? Is source number two reliable, or are both one and two reliable? We have an Instagram influencer who's talking about a fad diet. And then we have a lecturer college professor talking about nutrition and weight loss? Give me your answers, please. One is reliable, or is two reliable, or is one and two both reliable? Let's go to the answers now. The Instagram influencer, no, 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 no. you know, they may have a lot of followers, they may have a lot of likes, but if they're going to talk about something as important as a diet, nutrition, we can't really rely on them for the facts. However, professor, they're paid to teach. They're paid to stay up on the current knowledge and all the latest research, right? So we can trust that their lecture is going to be reliable, as opposed to someone who is trying to sell us or promote to us a product. All right. So here's a little more practice. I'm gonna give you 5 to 10 minutes now. We're gonna read each source description, right? A Twitter post by a celebrity promoting a new exercise machine. Then we're going to determine if that source is reliable, yes, or if it's unreliable, no. Then I would like you to explain to me, it's one sentence, one clear sentence, why this choice is reliable or unreliable. Why'd you make your choice about these sources? You get to be skeptical. You get to be the judge. You get to investigate. So I will let you all start right now. You have 5 to 10 minutes. Read each description, decide yes or no, and then explain why you made that choice. Okay? You may begin.